All right, everybody, welcome to part two of the two video series. First one about area, second one about the topic you see in front of you, which is volume. Volume is sort of like the idea of three-dimensional area. So if you would imagine something, let's say that you had some kind of cup. Basically, the volume is how much water you could use to fill that cup up, how much water it could hold. That's the idea of volume. We're going to be coming back to volume later in the year. We'll be spending more time on it, but for what you're going to be working on coming up, you're going to need the formulas of a few types of objects on how to find their volume. We'll come back to many more complicated examples coming up later this year, but we're starting with the basics right now. So here we go. First type of object that we're going to look at is something called a prism. And what prisms are is they're shapes that have two parts called the bases that are exactly the same shape. So this one and this side in this prism are the bases. And then between them are a certain number of rectangles that connect the two bases. So if you look, this here is a rectangle, this side is a rectangle, and in the back there are two more rectangles that we can't really see right now. To find the area of a prism, or the volume of a prism, my mistake, you have to find the area of the base, which in this shape is this, and then you have to multiply by the height, which is the distance between the two bases. So for this problem, what we're going to have is we're simply going to have the area of the base, which is 5 times 6. It's a rectangle, and rectangles, remember, have base times height as their area. So 5 times 6, and then times 12, which is the height. That's going to give us 30 times 12, which ends up being 360. And I'm putting this U3 here. What that means is we don't have a unit on these numbers, so we usually just give it U instead of a unit. And it's cubed because when you have volume, you have 3 dimensions that are being used to make the volume of the shape. So it's units cubed, not units squared or just plain old units. Moving over to this example, the second one, you'll notice that the base is no longer a rectangle, but is instead a triangle. So what that means is for the area of the base, we're going to have to use the area of a triangle formula, which again is 1/2 base times height. Well, in this triangle, the base is 8, and the height has a size of 6. So it's going to be 1/2 of 6 times 8. And then we need to multiply that by the height of the prism. So it's going to be 1/2 6 times 8 times 5. Again, this 1/2 6 times 8 came about because we have a triangle as the shape of our base. So 1/2 of 6 times 8 means we have 1/2 of 48 times 10, which is going to give us 1/2 of 480, which is 240 units cubed. So that's how we deal with prisms. Now, the only other shape we're going to look at today is the cylinder. And just like the prism, the formula is going to be the area of the base times the height of the cylinder. But the thing that's changed is that the area of the base is not a rectangle or a triangle anymore. Now it's a circle. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to bring back the area of the circle formula, which just like last time was pi r squared. And we're then going to multiply by the height of the cylinder, which is given to us. So putting that all together, we can see that the radius of the circle is 8, and the height of the circle is 16. So the volume is going to be pi times 8 squared times 16, which means we're going to have pi times 64 times 16, which means, let's get our calculator out and see what 64 times 16 is. That ends up being 1,024. So we're going to have 1,024 times pi. And going back to the calculator again, 1,064 times pi is right around 3,217 units. And that would be the volume for the cylinder. So let me give you one more problem to try out on your own and see if you can get the right answer. I'm going to want you to find the volume of this prism. And I'm going to want you to find the volume of this cylinder. All right, everybody. So after watching these two videos, you should be ready for what's going to happen in class coming up on Monday. You'll see what that is. And you'll see what's happening real soon. See you when you get to class next.